Well, hey, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Steamboat Rock Baptist Church. I'm glad that you are all here. It is now officially fall, the crisp fall air outside with us this morning. And we are going to be in Revelation chapters 8 and 9 today. And just a heads up, things get pretty bleak in chapters 8 and 9. This is like kind of the classic Revelation stuff that we think about. So, since that's where Pastor Harrison's taking us this morning, I figured we'd start our time by singing some songs that aren't so bleak. So I'll invite you to stand, and we're going to sing some songs that are hopefully going to call us to endure in our faith and persevere in our faith and praise God for His goodness and His faithfulness. So please sing along with us this morning.
I count on one thing, the same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will all my days. Yes, I will. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names that nothing can stand against. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will all my days. Yes, I will all my days. Yes, I will.
Amen. At the beginning of the Gospel of John, John says that Jesus, the Word became flesh, came into the darkness, but that the darkness had not overcome it. So we're going to sing that He gives life and His love and brings light to the darkness. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Oh, great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. We're going to sing All the Earth Will Shout Your Praise. Let's join with each other. We'll sing this together, yeah? All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Yes, you are God. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. One more time. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up Till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, through darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Well, church, thanks for singing along this morning. You guys can go ahead and take your seats.
Well, thank you for worshiping with us, both those who are here and those who are at home and watching online. I want to just draw your attention to a couple things in our bulletin this morning. We have our quarterly congregational meeting coming up on the 22nd, and I know for some of you, you've already stopped listening because you're like, a business meeting. But I want to frame a business meeting maybe in a different way for us. It's an opportunity for us as a church to take a look at the financials. It's just a good family meeting to go, where are we at? How's the budget doing? And then not only that, we get to hear from different ministry leaders how that money has been used by the Lord to help other people and to further his kingdom. And then we'll hopefully get to have some testimonies of some people who are coming to membership in this church, who have been blessed by the ministry of our staff and of our volunteers as well. And so I'd encourage you, it's a great opportunity, yes, to kind of do the family business stuff, but it's also a really good opportunity just to hear what God's doing through being financially responsible, doing the work, doing the ministry. So I'd encourage you to come to that. That's going to be on the 22nd. And then also, men, on the first and third Fridays of October, November, and December, Jim and Adam Zomer are going to be meeting, and they've already met for the first time this last week, but they are taking it one meeting at a time. So if you missed this last Friday, you can show up to any of the other ones that are coming up. You will not be, you'll be missing out, but you will be up to speed. So they're not going to be like, well, you missed the first one, you have no clue what's going on now. Nope, you can keep coming. to whatever works out with you and your schedule. So I'd encourage you to do that. And then for visitors or for guests, we're just really glad that you're here with us this morning, wherever you're coming from or whatever reason you ended up getting here. We want to just be praying for you and answer any questions you have about our church. And one of the main ways we do that is through connection cards. There's some in the seat backs. I'd encourage you to grab one of those, fill it out, and then you have two options. You can put it in the black offering boxes at the back of the sanctuary as you leave this morning, or you can take it to the welcome desk, which is down the hall. It's on the left-hand side, and they'll trade you that connection card for a welcome packet. So I'd encourage you to do that. Well, later in the service, we're going to have an opportunity for some prayer in groups. So instead of doing our normal kind of greeting, I'm going to ask you guys to spend greeting time finding 4 to 6 people, 4 to 6, not 46, that'd be a lot, 4 to 6 people to group together and just kind of go, hey, you're my people, and then Harrison later in the service is going to guide you in what to do with those 4 to 6 people. So, sound good? All right, ready, go.
When we were talking through the service order, we thought it'd be good to give you, an advance notice, kind of build a little tension. Everybody likes to think about, I'm going to pray with people that I don't know. And part of the reason for that is that there are prayers in what we're looking at, and there's a lot of drama in this too. When somebody says drama queen, and I have heard that phrase a few times with 6 daughters, we have her drama queen coming to our household sometimes. It's a pejorative term, right? It's not like something you say that in a nice way about people. Somebody that they just make a big deal about everything, huge emotions, like, whoa, it's a grand deal. But the passage that we're looking at, Revelation 8 and 9, you can't miss the drama. And so I think these, you might know some people that you think are drama queens. Maybe accusations go back and forth. We don't usually talk about drama kings, but they're certainly out there. But we're all children of the drama king, and not in a pejorative way, but in a powerful way. God is working out a drama on a grand scale, and so you see that in Revelation 8 and 9. You see staging, you see timing, you see casting, you see lines being given, you see lighting. Like it all happens here, and God is no stranger to drama, and he's going to bring it to bear. So if you have your Bibles, turn to Revelation 8 and 9. And the title of the message is Praying Our Part in the Drama, because we do have a part in this drama. I think even in these chapters, you could argue that we have a part. And so you might wonder, like, what are we doing praying together, in groups? Well, that is part of what's happening here, depending on how you interpret the prayers that go. So chapter 8 continues this opening of seals. And if you weren't here for the beginning, John is in heaven. He's looking in heaven, and he saw this scroll on kind of the right side of the throne with 7 seals on it. There was the sadness, like who can open the scroll? And then the Lamb who was slain, this Lamb can open these seals. And he broke 6 of them, and man, things just started happening. And then we had this kind of aside last week while we were waiting for the 7th seal, and now he gets to the 7th seal. And when he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. And a half-hour silence, that's a pretty major deal. Like a half hour can go fast, right? When I wake up and I think like, oh, I'm just going to sleep 5 more minutes. And then I look at my watch like, oh, half hour. You know, that went fast. But when you're sitting in silence, like in some group, or if you're waiting and nobody's told you how long the wait's going to go, and you're just wondering, like, a half hour can be a long time. This is in heaven. Like, this seal breaks and things usually just start happening, and John's watching, and he doesn't know it's going to be a half hour. He's like, what? Nothing. Silence. So that's part of the reason at the end of this message we're going to have 3 minutes of silence. It's just a tenth of a half hour, right? Just to get a feel for like, wow. And we observe a moment of silence in our culture when we're remembering tragic loss. We're like, oh, hey, let's observe a moment of silence. And seldom do people go against that. They're like, yeah, that seems fitting. What else do we do? I think this half hour of silence is anticipating a tragic loss. It's like knowing what's going to come and knowing you're the one that's making it happen. And that it has to happen. And so we move on. And I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and the 7 trumpets were given to them. So the book of Revelation has the 7 seals. The 7th seal's now been opened. But like, what's the 7th seal? We don't get anything other than it's these 7 trumpets. So the 7 trumpets are kind of encapsulated in the 7 seals. And then the 7th trumpet's going to be, when it's finally blown, we're going to see that there's 7 bowls of wrath that finally finishes it off, so that they're all kind of nested. It's just building and building and building. I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and 7 trumpets were given to them. These angels are given names in the books that were written by Jewish people in between the Old Testament and the New Testament. You know, I don't know about the legitimacy of those names, but it's just interesting. Like, so that John was talking about something that people already had a sense of, like, yeah, there's 7 angels that they stand in the presence of God like that. We know one name for sure from Luke's gospel, Gabriel, when he's announcing the birth of Jesus. He says, I stand in the presence of God. It's like, how could you not believe me? Like, I'm an angel of rank. And so these 7 angels stand there, and the seal is open, so they get these 7 trumpets handed to them. We'll get to the trumpets later. Another angel who had a golden censer came and stood at the altar, and he was given much incense to offer with the prayers of all God's people on the golden altar in front of the throne. So this is kind of, again, pictured the worship of the Jewish people or the Israelite people. They would have these censers, a long rod with kind of a bowl in it, and they could take from the big altar for sacrifice, that where all the coals were, they could take the coals out of that. The priests could bring them into the temple, into this small incense altar that stood right in front of the Holy of Holies. He could pour those hot coals there, put the incense that was approved by God, as the right aroma, the right mix for him, put that on there, and this smoke would go up. So that's the picture that John's seeing, but he's seeing that this angel is now doing this priestly work, and he's dropping this in, and along with what he puts in, there's all these prayers of all God's people, and the smoke and the prayers, they go up, it says, in the presence of God. Again, there's a lot of drama, and this is a very big picture. The smoke of the incense together with the prayers of God's people went up before God from the angel's hand. And then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar. So I don't know if he gets it from this altar or from that altar. I'm not sure which one, but he grabs it and whoom, flings it down on the earth, and boom, things light up. There came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and earthquake. These are the signs of God's presence that are powerful, whoa, terror. And these things come. But I want to go back to, we're going to have an unleashing here in a moment with these trumpets, but what is it about these prayers that does that? And what prayers are going up that are doing that? That's what I was thinking about. Now, I don't know the answer to this, but I did think we were taught to pray the Lord's Prayer. Christians have been taught to pray the Lord's Prayer. For thousands of years we've been praying that. Jesus taught us this is how you should pray. And just the first line of that prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And then, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. If just those prayers of all God's people from all time, if just that petition is going up, that is enough to say, hey, it's time. I'm answering the prayer. There are people all over this planet who have no regard for my name. They disregard it. They either ignore me, they mock me. Okay, this is the time that it's going to be hallowed. There are people that they have no regard for my instructions. I mean, I make a signal and like angels move, things happen. But there are people that they don't even respond. If you've been in the classroom, if you've taught in the classroom, you get a sense of classroom control, right? Nothing can happen well in the classroom when you've got rebels in the classroom that are kind of thwarting the authority of the teacher. You've got to deal with that. You've got to figure out how to get them to come along. You either try to move them along through activities, distraction, I heard, whatever the case. Finally, if you can't get them to go, it's like they got to be removed from the classroom or things can't go. And God's going to deal with this now. And so this is what's happening. And I think that these prayers are triggering like, whoa, here we go. Then the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared to sound them. Sounding trumpets, I'm a trumpet player, but trumpet playing is intended to be musical for the most part. And my poor parents, they went through a lot of practices that probably weren't very musical sounding. Maybe you've had an aspiring trumpet player. But it's not always musical. Trumpets for a long history have been signals. Like they're a signaling instrument because of the way that they can carry. And in the book of Numbers, when God's organizing his people after they've come out of the land of Egypt, and that's a good picture, if you think of the 10 Commandments and the plagues, it's good for having those in mind when we're looking at this because those plagues happened on Pharaoh and Egypt so that God could deliver his people from their hands. And now we're going to see plagues coming on the people of the earth before God's people are going to be delivered. And some of you, you hold to like, hey, the church is going to be out of here. Well, maybe if I don't know that I hold to that. No, actually, I know I don't hold to that, but it doesn't mean I'm right. But say you are right, then there's still God's people here, right? There's still people that are going to be here, saints that are going to be living on the earth, and God's going to bring about his wrath in order to prepare them for deliverance. So when these people get delivered, they're trying to get organized, they have these trumpets that God says to use, and it's not the shofar, the ram's horn, it's not that one. These are silver pounded out trumpets to give signals. And they're going to have a signal to bring all the people together. And then they got a signal, to bring just the leaders together. And then they got a signal to send the people out. And it's pretty funny to me that it says, you could blast will be the signal for setting out, to gather the assembly, blow the trumpets, but not with the signal for setting out. And I just think, it's like, okay, this had to happen sometime, 600,000 men, all their people, and somebody like blows the wrong signal. People are going out. No, they're coming in. Like, oh, chaos. But they're for signaling. And then they're also for warning. They're for sending people into battle, but they're also for warning that, hey, battle's coming into us. We had Wednesday, mine didn't go off at 2. I don't know when your guys' went off. Everybody's cell phone went off. It was a national alert system. Like, hey, we got to, everybody know, like, you got to be ready to be warned. Like, that's what you should think of. These trumpets, they're like an alert system. Like, something's going down. Pay attention. And these trumpets are going to be sounded. Joel, in his prophecy, captures the sense of it. He says, blow the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm on my holy hill. Let all who live in the land tremble. For the day of the Lord is coming. It is close at hand. And I don't know, we lose the sense of trembling before God. the first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. I don't know how the blood gets in there. I don't know exactly how this vision is literally going to be played out, but it's a terrifying vision. We had a hailstorm here, that it blew through houses. I mean, it just took right windows out and went through cars, and people were terrified. There was no fire, and there was no blood. So I think there's a sense like, whoa, that's going to happen. Then the next angel is going to blow. These first 4 trumpets, they're all things that happen primarily to the earth. I mean, there's collateral damage to people, but these are focused on judgment on the earth. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Again, don't know exactly what this is. Seems likely that it's something coming from space. It's getting on fire and going in, and something doesn't even have to be big from a space perspective, right, to really mess up the sea. And then, you plummet that in there, and things could really take action. 2012, I think of the calamity of the earthquake that caused a tsunami in Indonesia, and it just washed people away as it came in. The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. We're going to see a star that is obviously a demonic person. I don't know that this star is a demonic person. It's probably not a star, right, from the sense of the mass of it. It's probably something that's, again, light burning up, coming in. This one's impacting the land, but I think it's what's in it that's causing the name to be given. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. So this is a plague on our fresh water and our land. And then the fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark. I think this is a perspective thing. That's my guess, that we're not really taking out a third of the stars. We're not cutting out a third of the sun or a third of the moon, but there's something happened that now like a third of our light is gone whenever things are going around. That's my sense, but it's a plague of darkness, which is one of the plagues the Egyptians had. And that's scary when this kind of stuff's going down. One commentator said, we just take for granted the gift of God's creation, the gift of the earth, the gift of the trees, the gift of green grass. When we've had dry seasons like we've had and the grass starts to turn brown, we start to pray for rain, but it's easy for us to take this for granted, the fresh air, and it's a grace that God's given us a planet to live on and bodies to live in it. And as if that wouldn't be terrifying enough, here's a little more drama added. As I watched, I heard an eagle that was flying in midair call out in a loud voice, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Now, my Old Testament professor, Gordon Harris, he's passed away now, but he said that prophets, they didn't say whoa. They didn't say whoa. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's scary when your Old Testament professor is saying that to you. But that's the sense of this age, like, whoa, something's happening. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because the trumpet blast's about to be sounded by the other three angels. So if you're on the earth, and inhabitants of the earth is kind of a technical term in John's vision for the people that are living on the earth, but they're not the people of God. And if you're there then, and all these things have happened, you hear this eagle, crying out like, whoa, that'd be fearful. Like, yeah, all that happened, that's not as bad as what's going to happen. And then it comes. The fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from the sky to the earth. And this star, it seems to be a being, a person. The star was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. And it's capitalized in my Bible because it's a place. is this is like Alcatraz, right, for angels. So the demonic beings, when Jesus is casting out angels in the New Testament, there's demons, but they're angels that have fallen. When he's casting out some demons, they say, you're not going to send us to the pit, are you? You know, you're not going to send us to the abyss. And so he allows them not to go to the abyss. But this is the holding place. And you don't want somebody to let out all the violent criminals, you know, in your neighborhood all at once. Like, here they go. But that's what's going to happen here. When he opened the abyss, smoke rose from it like the smoke from a gigantic furnace. The sun and sky were darkened by the smoke from the abyss. And out of the smoke, locusts came down on the earth and were given power like that of scorpions of the earth. Now, these are not your ordinary locusts. There were plagues of locusts, you know, plagues on Egypt. There were plagues that happened in the Old Testament to God's people when they were disobedient. And those were terrifying enough because these locusts just come in and eat everything up, every living green thing. But these locusts, they don't touch the green stuff. They're not veggie eaters. And they were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any plant or tree, but only those people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And so you see, just as you saw in some of the plagues in Egypt, God distinguishing between his people, like who's the target of this judgment. And they were not allowed, God's restricting again, how far can they go? They're not allowed to kill them. And you get the sense like if they were allowed, they definitely would, but they're not allowed, so they don't. They're not allowed to kill them, but only to torture them for 5 months. And the agony they suffered was like that of the sting of a scorpion. Anybody been stung by a scorpion? I haven't experienced that, but I'm not wanting to experience it just to be able to give you a realistic description. That it was like the sting of a scorpion when it strikes. During those days, people will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will elude them. These locusts, they are not ordinary locusts, as they get described, which you would think if they're coming up from the abyss, out of the smoke of this place that's been used to hold demons since the beginning of time. The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their heads, they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Like, that would be a terrifying thing. Their hair was like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the thundering of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. They had tails with stingers like scorpions, and in their tails they had power to torment people for 5 months. They had as king over them the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon and in Greek is Apollyon, but it's a name that means destroyer. So these are demonic beings, and it's a demonic torment that's let out on the earth. We're told by Jesus that Satan comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Like that's his mode. And those angels that follow him, like that's what they want to do. They want to destroy. And so people are going to be tormented. And that's already happening. I'm not saying that this has been unleashed. I don't think so. I'm just saying we have a sense of what it's like when people are tormented by evil, when they're stung and they kind of get into it. We have a drug plague that's going on. And evil is in it. Every which way you turn, there's evil around this. When you hear what some of the drug dealers do to like the people that they're dealing with, there's just evil, and people are sucked into this evil. I heard a story in Philadelphia. Now, you know, it was the opioid crisis, and then it's like fentanyl is being used a lot and brought in, but cheaper than fentanyl, and something that mixes with it to really give it a longer lasting high is an animal tranquilizer that they can get pretty well. And sometimes you can buy it mixed in, but sometimes it's like point of purchase. People are, you know, these distributors are mixing it. Some people are buying it for the mix. Some people are afraid of it, but they're getting bad drugs, like, you know, because evil is going on with this. But this trank, as they call it, the stuff that's been mixed together, the people, when they get it, one of the effects is that it decreases blood flow to some of the tissue areas. And so people can get ulcers in their skin that they just begin to eat into the muscle. So some of the people obviously aren't taking really great care of themselves that are caught in this and are using this stuff. And so they're coming to medical care, and they smell like rotting flesh. And that is spreading all across our nation. That's just one picture. I mean, there's just so many ways that Satan's trying to destroy us, but this is going to be unleashed on people. 5 months, they're going to be tormented, wishing they could die, but they can't die. And then this dramatic announcement, the first woe is past. 2 other woes are yet to come. The 6th angel sounded his trumpet, and I heard a voice coming from the 4 horns of the golden altar that is before God. Again, we don't know exactly who's that voice. I think it's the Lord's voice. Some people say maybe it's the prayers voicing out. It said to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, so this is the only one that gets an assignment. Like after he blows his trumpet, he's like, now he's got to go do something. Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. Most of the judgmental attacks that came on the people of Israel came from beyond the Euphrates. But it says, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates, and the 4 angels who had been kept ready for this very hour and day and month and year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. So it seems like these angels are not good angels. They've been bound, like they've been held, or they've been held in reserve. I was with missile launch officer, in the Ellsworth, we had the Minuteman IIs, but we had like all this wrath that was just waiting, ready to be unleashed, and we kept it ready. And I'm glad I never got called to unleash it, but these are now called to be unleashed. The number of the mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. So I calculated this out. It's 200 million, and like, wow, 200 million. How many people are in the Roman Empire? There's 120 million is like a high estimate in the Roman Empire. How many horses these are mounted troops, right? How many horses do we have in the world today? I found an estimate of 60 million horses. So we need to, horse breeders, get going. They're not going to have enough horses to do this. Then I read a commentary that says, don't try to calculate the number, this is myriad of myriads times 2. It's just a huge force. And these horses aren't like your regular horses. The horses and riders I saw in my vision looked like this. Their breastplates were fiery red, dark blue, and yellow as sulfur. The heads of the horses resembled the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and sulfur. That is a bad horse. 1/3 of mankind was killed by the 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur that came out of their mouths. That's the part I think we can get caught up in, some kind of mechanized warfare that he's trying to envision. No, I don't know. We don't know. All we know is 1/3 of the people are going to die terrible death. The power of the horses was in their mouths and in their tails, for their tails were like snakes having heads with which they inflict injury. The rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues still did not repent of the work of their hands. We had, with the seals, 1/4 of the population died. And so you got 3/4 of the population left. And now, with this plague, another 1/3 dies. So now you got half of the population left. You think people would be catching a clue. Wow, we probably should really surrender to this God. But they're not. They did not repent of the work of their hands. They did not stop worshiping demons and idols of gold, silver, bronze, stone, and wood, idols that cannot see or hear or walk. Nor did they repent of their murders, their magic arts, their sexual immorality, or their thefts. It's like, in your face, God. We're not going to bow to you. Well, this is where I want to move to a time of silence. And I just want you in this time of silence to contemplate this coming judgment, just to think through these pictures. coming on the world, and then to be thinking about, your own heart. Like, where do you need to repent? And where are your neighbors at? Where's your family at with regards to this? This is, God's amazing grace is grace from the wrath that's going to be poured out on those who have rebelled against him all the time. And then there are going to be trumpets sound. When you hear that sound, that's the time to gather in your prayer groups. And you have some suggested things for prayer. They'll be on the screen too. But just use that and just pray. Pray out loud in your group. Some of you might be really, that might be a little fearful of you. Just imagine God is here. He's listening to you. And say a sentence or two. You can even read one of these if you want to. But let's pray. Let's do our part to try to see people spared this. The silence begin.
You can finish praying. You can remain standing. We're going to close our time by singing of the faith that we have in the God who's in control of all of this, and also for the hope that we have for what is beyond all of the destruction that we just heard about. So let's sing. You are who you say you are. You'll do what you say you'll do. You'll be who you've always been to us, Jesus. Our hope is in you alone. Our strength in your mighty name. Our peace in the darkest day remains, Jesus. Sing this we know. Oh, this we know. We will see the enemy run. This we know. We will see a victory come. We hold on to every promise you ever made. Jesus, you are unfailing. Our guide through the wilderness. Our joy in the heaviness. You are our way when it seems there is no way, Jesus. Oh, this we know. We will see the enemy run. And this we know. We will see a victory come. We hold on to every promise you ever made. Jesus, you are unfailing. Sing, we trust you. We trust you. We trust you. 'Cause your ways are higher than our own. We trust you. We trust you. 'Cause your ways are higher than our own. Let's sing that again. We trust you. Yes, we do. We trust you. 'Cause your ways are higher than our own. We trust you. And in this, God, we trust you. That your ways are higher than our own. This we know. We will see the enemy run. This we know. We will see a victory come. We hold on to every promise you ever made. Jesus, you are unfailing. Oh, this we know. We will see the enemy run. This we know. We will see a victory come. We hold on to every promise you ever made. Jesus, you are unfailing. Jesus, you are unfailing. Oh, Jesus, you are unfailing.
about 4 chapters before they got the instructions on the trumpets and the marching and the disasters, they were instructions to the priests on how to lay a blessing on God's people, place his name on them. And so I'm going to substitute Jesus for the name here, but you're all priests. You're all called to be priests in Jesus' name. So I'm going to lay this blessing on you, but as you go out and your neighbors, workplace, people, boy, you can be blessing them with this blessing. Jesus, bless you and keep you. Jesus, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Jesus, turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen.